Hi everyone, this is Card Stamping with Clara. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in North Carolina. It's a dreary day, but that's typical North Carolina wintertime. I am going to attempt to show you how to make a birthday card today. This is going to be my first video, so I pray that I get through it in a reasonable fashion so that it's understandable. The set that we're going to be using today is this cling stamp set called All That You Are. And it, as you can see, it's got several nice images that you could choose from and some nice sentiments as well. So we're going to be working with that. I am going to attempt to show you how to make this card, which is a happy birthday card. This is one of my favorite colors. It's called Highland Heather. And then we have the Gingham Gala check, or I guess that's what you would call it. It's just a gingham type print that matches the Highland Heather. And that's one of the great things about Stampin' Up! Is that the markers and the paper and the DSP, which is Designer Series paper. If you don't know, it took me a while to figure out what DSP it was, but this is the kind of DSP, as many other things are as well. So in this card that we're going to make today, it says "Flowers bloom all for you" on the inside. So that's the card we're going to make today. But before we get started on that, I want to show you a few more of these cards just quickly so you can get an idea of what you can do with it. This one is a card made with Blackberry Bliss color, and it says "Flowers bloom all for you, happy birthday." Then we have another one here that also has the Blackberry Bliss and the Crushed Curry yellow color, and it says "Wishing you an amazing birthday." So that looks totally different from the other one. Now some of the dies are different on these. Some of the sentiments are a little bit different. But, you know, if you've got some extra things, you can incorporate them into this too. This is called Flirty Flamingo, the color. And it's "Hope you feel better really soon." And you can write whatever you like on the inside. You don't really have to put a sentiment on the inside. If you want to write something from the heart, people appreciate that. You can leave one blank. Or you can put something else in that's appropriate for your need. This is one using the lovely lipstick color. And right now at Stampin' Up, we have celebrations. And celebrations, you can earn different things for the amount. Say you purchase $50. You could get this this lovely lipstick foil. And you can also get it comes in Grapefruit Grove. And you get like, I think it's 3 sheets of each color free when you make a $50 purchase. But that's just one of the items in Celebration that you can get free. And this one says "Flowers bloom all for you." So you can see that. And sometimes we don't like having to need a sympathy card, but we do. So I tried this one out as a sympathy card, and I did some embossing and put some black foil around it and put "with sympathy." And then this is another kind of DSP that you can earn free by the amount of money that you spend, which is $50. You can get this. This is just one example of the butterfly package. There's many bright colors as well as this black. This just happened to be appropriate for what I needed for this card, which is for the moments you can't put into words. So I thought that served rather well. Here's another sympathy card that I made, and it's got a different color, a different tone, and it's approached a little bit different. It says "How very sorry I am for your loss," and I put this in from another stamp set, I believe. But you can mix and mingle and what have you. And now I have 3 or 4 thank you cards. This is one that I made. This is part of our Valentine DSP. We have a package of that that you can choose that's got pretty different designs. Lots of them have hearts on it, but for this card, I just wanted something that was very simple, so I used a tiny bit of this. So, in the inside of this, it says, "How much your kindness touches my life." And I put a little sticker on the bottom there, a little die cut out, and tried to dress up the inside a bit. This one is done in light pink, as you can see. I think this one's called powder pink. It says, "Thank you for all that you are and all that you do." And this one says, "Flowers bloom all for you." It's also showing the lovely lipstick foil. And then on the inside, this is another thank you. And the last one here says, "Just for you." This is the Grapefruit Grove foil that I was telling you about. And it says, "Thank you for all that you are and all you do." And then there's a piece of the Grapefruit Grove foil that you can see how much it dresses up the inside of the card. Okay, now enough of that, but I just wanted to give you a good idea of the options that you might have with this set, either adding a little something to it, or just taking those same components and making a card. I'm going to take just a second for those of you that don't know how to use our Stampin' trimmer to show you how to cut a card base. That's where we're going to start with this card. This is just a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of Whisper White thick cardstock, and I do prefer the thick. It comes in Very Vanilla and in Whisper White, which makes your cards a lot more sturdy. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up at 4 1/4 inches, which is the center, and I'm going to score it so that you'll have something to fold your card by. So I'm going to go up and down a couple of times. Then I'm going to turn it around to 5 1/2, which is exactly half of 11. Excuse me, I'm going to see if I can, there we go. And I'm going to use the cutting tool here. The lighter one is the scoring. It will not cut your paper, but if you forget and use this one instead of this one for the score, you're going to end up with 2 sheets of paper. So this time we want to cut it. And as you can see, it does a nice job, cuts it right in half, and you've got enough out of 1 sheet of paper for 2 cards. Okay, now real quickly I want to show you how to fold this card. You can turn it just turn it down where the crease is. And I forgot to lay out my bone folder, but if you don't have one, you can use your finger just like this. Just start in the middle and go from both sides, but bone folders really do work a bit better. But I'm not going to stop to go get it because I've already got a card that's perfectly folded. And this one looks like it turned out pretty good. So some people don't even use bone folders, but they are nice. All right, I'm going to lay this over. And the first thing we're going to do, of course, is stamp the image. So I went ahead and I lined this up just to save time because I know that you don't want to watch me do mundane tasks. We're going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And the reason we're going to do that is because I'm going to be using the stamping blends. And it's very important to use the Memento ink with the stamping blends, because if you don't, they may run and it kind of makes a mess instead of a nice colored image. So, and you will find out that I am prone to get ink all over me. So bear with me, please. All right. The first thing we'll do is check and see. All right. Now, I want you to see the difference here. And right here, this image turned out good. It's clear. But this one is not quite as clear. This is not straight, but I didn't necessarily mean for it to be straight because I'm going to cut it out with a die. I'm going to re-ink this one. I'm not going to re-ink that one. I'm just going to put a little extra ink right here. This is the beauty of this Stamparatus that Stampin' Up! Sells. It has 2 plates, and this is what I'm calling the plate. And it has grid marks, which is very nice about helping you line your things up. The only thing about the Stampin' Up! Stamparatus is occasionally in some of these areas, like the corner or real close to this edge, you don't get quite the clear image that you might want without stamping 2 or 3 times. And something that helps is I purchased some embossing pads the other day, and this little thin embossing pad gives you usually just enough extra lift to get the better images. You don't have to use them, but they are nice. The other thing that I thought that I would absolutely never purchase is this simple chamois. It doesn't come in a box, but you know, you can put it in a plastic box. And isn't that a beaut? It has already had lots of wear. Basically, all in the world it is you wet it, and it comes moist, and you rinse out the ink. Right here, I got a little extra water, but I'll take an old cloth and dry this up a little bit better in a few minutes. But it is amazing how this thing cleans. See, the ink is just gone, and I would have never thought that something like this would do it, but it just really works well. And so I am very happy that I bought this simple chamois, it's called. It cost $8, and I thought that's a lot, but I have used it already, as you can see. It will stain, but it doesn't hurt when you clean your stamps. It doesn't hurt a thing. The other thing I should have shown you a second ago was this. This is the second plate for the Stamparatus. And for instance, if you had one image here that you wanted to put down, and then you had another image that you wanted to put really close, but you couldn't line them up on one, then you can just flip it down. Just position them, and you can make up-teen cards, as they say. The only thing is you do not need to... Would you say the magnets are strong? I would. Anyway, you have to store it like this. And I'm going to take this off in a minute. But anyway, it's got a little place in the back where they store. It's a real neat little thing. And I wouldn't be without it. It's the truth of the matter. Now, next thing we're going to do is start to color this image, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about it. I've already got another image cut out and it's ready to go, but I do want to show you a couple of things about these things called Stampin' blends. We're going to be using the Granny Apple Green, the Highland Heather. It comes in light and dark. So does the Granny Apple Green. They all do. It's just, you know, no matter what you want to use. This is the dark Flirty Flamingo. This is the dark Balmy Blue. And this thing is called a color lifter. So if you bobble over the edge, it does a pretty good job of lifting up that color so you don't have a mess and have to start over. The one thing that I would caution you about when it comes to using these markers, or blends they're called, is start with a light hand and try them on some scrap paper to start with. I find that they work best when I put my print on a thick piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm sure that would be true with the vanilla, very vanilla too, but the thick cardstock, it just seems like, to me anyway, that it works a lot better. Okay. As far as these flowers, I'm going to show you how to color in the light. Then we're going to do it in dark, and it gives it a kind of a dimensional look. Oh, these things come with 2 ends. They come with a, it's called a bullet end, which is a little bit finer. And then they come with more like a paint end. And this is what I started out using, but I've grown to like this one better. So it's just a matter of preference and what you're doing at the time. All right, we're going to start right here in the center of the upper part of the flower, which is the lighter one. And that's what I'm using, is the lighter Highland Heather. And we're going to, when you get close to the edges, just drive real easy, because it's easy for it to seep into the next color. But at the same time, you don't want it to bobble over the line either. Okay. It gets much easier as you go along. When you first start, it's a little bit more difficult. And more than anything, it's just learning how close to get to the edge without bobbling over, and just putting, like I said, just a really, really light touch. And it's amazing how even these things dry out. I don't really have to avoid going over the lines but in this lighter area, but I'm prone to do that, I guess. Go around these little stamen things. Okay, now that is the lighter area. And the whole idea is to make it, have some dimension like this. This is light, this is dark. I also keep the card that I'm making, or the image, close by if I'm replicating something. If I'm not, I just do what I want to do. As one lady said, I do it because I can. I don't have to follow a specific design. I like to design things myself, and the creativity of it is what's so much fun to me. Now, it might not be to you, but I love doing this. I got started because my grandson was a bitty baby. My daughter needed somebody to help her out with him. And so I started watching some YouTubes and videos and things to try to get an idea of what I might do to pass some of the time when he was asleep. Well, he didn't sleep very much anymore, but in the process, I did learn how to do this. Okay. Right there's a little part. All right. Now, as they say, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to show you how to do the green. Not that it's all that complicated, but what I found personally is that sometimes using a light color like this light greeny apple green, and putting down a coat like this, just put down maybe one little coat, and then go back and darken areas with this same color. You can use the darker color, just like I did up here, which works, really nice. And you will notice I am turning my picture because I want to be able to see where I'm putting this marker. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the veins. Let me get that little edge. I'm going to go down these veins and try to make them a bit darker, because if you notice, a leaf it's darker in the middle, it gets lighter towards the edge. And I'm going to go down those, and then sometimes you're just making small swirly motions. It kind of keeps it smooth, or you can make straight lines. But when this dries out, it's going to be a little darker in the center, and it's going to be a little lighter along the edges. So we'll stop with that. And this flirty flamingo, when you do little flowers and things like this, try to be aware. You just really want to touch it because it's almost like you don't hardly make contact. And then the because these are alcohol markers, you will get a nice pretty image. So I just warn you about that. Just use a real light hand, but it is, you know, they turn out so nice when you get finished. I will show you this. On the back, they will bleed through, even through the thick paper. Now that didn't do enough to even show up on this acrylic that I work on all the time. But they can, if you're working on a table or something that you really care about, I would put some old scrap paper underneath, something smooth to absorb that little bit of extra just in case. All right, we're going to go to the next step. I've already showed you the gingham checks. I'm going to use what is called the rectangle stitched framelit dies. And we just got these in the new Occasions catalog, and I love them. As you can see, a lot of my cards already I have used these. They're stitched. They make a pretty stitching around whatever you're cutting out. And they are real handy. So I'm going to lay these over. And we are going to use these two out of the package. This is the next to the largest one, and this is just kind of a little larger one of the small rectangle dies. I call it the fat one because it's wider accordingly than the others, and it doesn't have any that really go with it. But I want to show you how to use these to cut this out and to cut out the happy birthday. I'm going to move my Big Shot over here. And the Big Shot, I hope you will be able to see because it is kind of big. But I'm going to try to center it here under the camera. Now, you have a cutting plate, which mine's getting worn. This is a magnetic plate that I use, and I'm going to take this image, and all you do is put your image down, and it's easier if you can stand up. But one trick I have learned is take it out and look at it this way to see if you've got it centered or not. And then kind of hold it till you lay it back down. I think that's going to be pretty good. I'm going to slide it in. Then you have a second plate to lay right on top. Just be careful and do not let your image slip when you're putting it in. And this thing pops and cracks, but what you get out of it's wonderful. So let me show you how nice it is. You do the same thing with the little die. But you see, now this is the one we just started on, and I'm not going to finish yet. I've got another one finished, so I'll go ahead and put the card together. But you can see that tiny little stitching. At least I hope you can. And I've already cut out a happy birthday with this same little image, so, the same little die. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just leave it out, and I'll do that once we're not videoing any longer. Okay, let me sit this back over out of the way. And the fun part begins. Or it's all fun to me. I shouldn't say the fun part begins because to me it's all fun. Anyway, I use mono liquid glue, which Stampin' Up sells. Gives you a chance to kind of shimmy things around a little bit to get them straight. And we're going to be using some Stampin' Dimensionals. And all Stampin' Dimensionals are little pieces of foam that stick on both sides to raise up a portion of your card, and I'll show you how we're going to do that too in a minute. And I've got a little, as they call them, a pokey tool. This is an old one that I had for a long, long time before I started using Stampin' Up! Products. Actually, Stampin' Up's got a much nicer tool like that than I'm using right now. Okay, we're going to take the card. We're going to take the card base, which I already showed you about. Then we're going to attach, well, let's attach the flower to this border color, which is the Highland Heather. And there's the one that I've already done, as you can see. And so we're going to glue those together. There's one lady that does Stampin' Up! Demonstrations, and I think it's the cutest thing. She says, we're going to marry these together. And I never heard anybody put it that way, but I think she says it quite well. Just going to put a little bit of glue. You don't need a whole lot. Just the least that you can get by with. And then try to line it up the very best you can to get it straight. You see, I've got that one down a little too far. Now, if you'll notice, you got to do this. Woo! There we go. See, any way that works right for you. Oh, I got a little sticky on my hands. I don't want to get it on the card. All right. What I like to do is hold it up and eyeball it, because looking from an angle will mess you up sometimes. Okay, let's see. Not real happy with that yet. You know, it's a funny thing. Sometimes these things just, they line up perfectly and you're just as happy as you can be. And other times, like right now, I'm struggling a little bit more. Maybe it's because I'm on the camera. Anyway, I think that's good now. All right, you just glue that down, and I'm going to measure this across here. I think I need to cut one block off, yeah. And it might have been better if I had put this strip on before I glued that part on. Sometimes I kind of get ahead of myself. Something I didn't show you that you can see here is there's, in this gingham package, which has got 5 different colors in it, you have little gingham checks and large ones. I'm just choosing to use the smaller ones. So let's see if I can get this on here. Nice and straight. Okay, I believe that's good. All right, now this this part we will put onto the card base. This piece is the card base. The card itself is going to be 5.5 inches by 4 1/4. Then this piece, which is a border piece, is just 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. It will be 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I will have on my website, which is cardstampingwithclara.com, I will put all the measurements. I'll make you a list of all the items that you need to purchase to make this card, and make it just as easy as I can and as much fun as it can be for you. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. Now, this is where I'm going to use what I call the Stampin' Dimensionals. It's on this little birthday thing. You just take the sharp end of something, or you take your scissors or your fingers or whatever works for you. I'm going to use about 4 or 5 of these. put them on the back. When you pull them up, they have the sticky side that'll adhere to whatever you're putting it on. Okay. And I don't like to think that mine might sag in the middle, so I put one in the middle too. All right, what you do is just flip that little layer off. You can, like I said, these things, this thing, listen to me say, this works good for me, except I can't get it off. And you will find these little things all over your house because they cling to your clothes. My grandson likes to put them in his mouth. Okay, let's see. When I want to center something, and I want to make sure that it's centered correctly, and of course that's what you want to do anytime, is I use this little gadget that is a reverse tweezer. The lady that I started buying things from has one, and she told us about it. Unfortunately, you can't get one of these at Stampin' Up, and we'll tell you the truth, you have to go to Amazon. That's where you go. That's one thing you'll find is I will tell you the truth. I may not like everything, and I'll let you know if I don't like it. But this thing is a great tool because what it does, you just slide your paper in like that, and you got it. It just, you know, you don't even have to hold it tight like you do other tweezers. So the beauty of this is that you could take a look, get your fingers back out of the way, and kind of see where you want this thing to go. Do you want it to go like right on the line, maybe down a little bit, maybe up a little bit? I want mine, if I can, to get it to, and I'm just going to lay it down lightly. Okay, you can see that is not centered. So if you only lay it down lightly, you can move it, and the one thing that has amazed me about putting these on, I think that's all right. Hope that looks good to you. I'm just going to tap it a little bit now. You don't really press it down because the whole idea, I'm going to turn it sideways. You can see that it's lifted up just a tiny bit. Add some dimension to your card. Okay. But with the camera, if I get to rambling, you have to blame it on my age. I'm getting old. That's what I say. We call them senior moments. But when you put these on, sometimes the eye, you think you think that they're perfect, and then I take a picture of them, and you can see every little flaw or blemish or anything when you take a picture. And you can hardly see anything with the naked eye. And I mean, my vision's not as good as it used to be, but it's not bad either. So, you know, just beware is all I know to say. All right. This I cut out earlier. I stamped the inside of it. Flowers bloom all for you. Used another one of the little stamps and colored it in with the Stampin' blends to match the front. And we're just going to glue that right onto the inside. Now, you're going to say, Clara, you are gluing white onto white. Why would you do that? Well, the reason I would do it is, in this particular case, it just helps your card to have a little more stability. It's a nice thick card. It gives it an air of being an excellent product. And you know, if you make something, you want it to be, you want it to be something nice and good. I mean, if you're not going to bother to do a nice job, I mean, why bother to make a card at all? Just go to the dollar store and buy one for $1, All right, let's see. I'm going to try to get this lined up. And I can promise you that even though I've struggled a little bit today, and some days will be that way, in general, you will improve as you do more and more of this. At first, I thought, I am never going to get these things on straight. There is no way. And it was a little bit discouraging, but you will, So there you go. Happy birthday. flowers bloom all for you. And I think that makes a nice card to send to anyone, friend or foe, however you choose. Anyway, I thank you for your time. Again, I'm an independent Stampin' demonstrator, and you can find my web page at cardstampingwithclara.com. There's a host code that if you don't spend $150, and most people don't when you're getting started especially, if you'd use that, I'd appreciate it. There's a place on the front page where you can go straight to the Stampin' Up! Store, and anything you purchase goes through the Stampin' Up! Store. It's not going to go through me. I will get credit for you shopping with me, but the fact of the matter is Stampin' Up! Has been in business for 30 years. It's a safe site. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. The good Lord willing, I'll see you again in about a week. So thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful week, and God bless you all. Thank you.